Howdy y'all, Dean Stilley here from the official home of unofficial Grateful Dead and music news, reporting on Giant Stadium 91, the Shakedown stream. I thought we were getting something new this week. I thought Lemieux on his interview prior to Foxborough said we were getting something we hadn't seen. We ended up getting Giant Stadium 91. The box set came out last year, and that was our night out at the movies. That's a great one to revisit, no problems there. I guess I misunderstood him. The 91 was a great year. If I was going to have a podcast, I think my first series would be the case for 91. It's really a super strong year all the way through. I think it's one of the better years in the band's history, full of great shows. All the way through, they started the year in Oakland, there in February, and 2/19/91 they bust out New Speedway. Place goes nuts. One of my favorite bust outs in that period of time. That was great. And I remember it just being loose in there. It was, you were just there a couple months ago for New Year's, and it was like a sardine can there in the Coliseum. And I remember those February shows, middle of the week shows, I think maybe Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday show or something, like middle of the week shows. It was loose in there. You could find great space all over the place, and the place just erupted when New Speedway got busted out. And the whole year continued like that. Whole year just continued with super strong music. Hornsby comes on board there in September of 90, and things just started taking a serious upturn when he got involved. Really just great chemistry between him and Garcia, and I'll never forget that To Lay Me Down at the Garden, 9/18/90, one of my favorites. So that was that moment that you I personally realized, wow, this may be just as good as it was prior. In my personal life, a touring was 85 to 95, the last decade of the Grateful Dead. I didn't miss many shows in 89, 90, 91. 91, I think I missed 3 shows. So one of them was the Bill Graham Memorial. We had our flights booked to come home the morning of the 1st, and we just didn't hang around and stay for it for whatever reason. We had to get home, whatever. By the time 90 rolled around, it was a different game for me. I talked about the last review, summer of 89, the Prince and the Pauper tour. When you start going to all the shows, you start meeting a lot of people, and that's what happened for me. Later in 89, and as 90 rolled around, so you start networking, and we didn't never considered it networking. You're just having fun and seeing all the shows. You end up meeting a lot of people, and I made a lot of friends and a lot of connections as time moved on. By the time 90 rolled around, we were making some money. We were doing good. We were not on the lot anymore. Our business was off the lot. I didn't spend much time on Shakedown in 91 to the end. I kind of came in right before shows. After shows, I'd get some oatmeal stouts in the parking lot, maybe dance for a couple songs at the disco bus, get something to eat. But we didn't spend too much time on the lot. We got in there shortly before we went into the show, and we left relatively soon there after. So I wasn't really much on the lot the last several years, but as 91 was just a great year for us. We were making a ton of coin, and we were distributing organic vegetation, and where the band stayed, we stayed. Just a great year. Yeah, so it started there in Oakland, Vegas, the Black Peter from Vegas, unbelievable, one of the best. And it just continued the whole year. I got to meet Garcia in the bar at the Desmond Americana after the first night, spring tour in Albany. It just, the whole year lined up for me personally, and musically I thought it was outstanding. The band was extremely hot. This is a great example of it. The whole year just very good. So anyway, we're there at Giant Stadium. We just came off a roaster at RFK, just got a great one there, and now we're here at Giant Stadium. It's a hometown show. I remember remember, I didn't stay home. I stayed at the Sheraton there by the Meadowlands. So I didn't want to leave the heart of the whole Grateful Dead universe. So I didn't even stay home, even though I was 20 minutes from my home. I stayed at the Sheraton. I remember this night, there's some quirky video throughout this show. I think possibly because of the weather conditions. It was pouring rain. It was torrential downpours, lightning, wind. This day and age, that show would have never happened. They'd have pulled the plug. They'd have canceled it. But they ran things a little differently back then. The show went on. They take the stage, you get Eyes, the first Eyes opener, I think ever. I don't know if they did it again, I don't think so. It could have been, I don't know, I could research it, but I think that was the first time they ever opened a show with Eyes, and this one is all business right out of the gates. They waste no time getting things started. The Eyes just full blown. Billy, he's there. He got his dashiki on. Garcia, he's wearing like an 8XL or something like that. He's got an 8XL on. Weir went to the city. He got himself some Gucci loafers or some shit. So this is something. Music takes no time to develop. You know, sometimes the Grateful Dead took a little time for the music to develop. They take the stage on this one, and it just instantly is. They're right there at warp speed. There's almost no acceleration. We're just at full speed from the word go, and it was that kind of night. During the Eyes, you watch Garcia and Bruce, and they're connected like psychedelic Legos. They're connected. This one's going to be a good one. It's obvious from the start. Walking Blues is up next. Even Vince, he gets himself a tasteful solo on that with a decent sound on his keyboards. There's a Brown Eyed Women's next. I love this Brown Eyed Women. This one starts, and this one's smooth as a greased otter. It's just moving with fury. You got Millie. You got Billy and Mickey driving this thing hard with Garcia throughout. This is just a great Brown Eyed Women. Makes me smile listening to it. Always has been among my favorites. This is good stuff. Then the Dark Star teases begin, and they're not little. They're not those things that you think you heard something. They're extremely obvious and deliberate and blatant. And the beginning of these Dark Star teases that would show up intermittently during the show, and from this perfectly controlled chaos, so the next song would arise. And so Masterpiece arises from this perfectly controlled chaos. You got Hornsby, he's on a squeeze box having fun over there. Weir, he's got a business look going on. This is good stuff. Everybody's all business. They're not playing grab ass. They're all business, and they're getting shit done. Loose Lucy's next, and that's a fun one. Cassidy goes deep. This Cassidy, he's a good. They show Vince. It looks like the ayahuasca's kicking in. This looks like a group ayahuasca retreat. It seems like they're all plugged into the same exact source, experiencing the same exact thing. This is the hive mind principle at work at its best. I mean, Phil during that Cassidy, he's throwing logs on the fire. He's dropping it like it's hot. And it is. Kreutzmann, he's playing Cassidy. His eyes are closed so tight. He's swinging at shit and sometimes changes his mind. And he may be playing Cassidy, but it looks like in his mind, he's riding a bicycle made of ice on the surface of the sun. I mean, he's in another world, and we're all benefiting from his behavior. Just great stuff watching him. Excuse me, I'm kicking the corona. Phil, he starts making the jam thicker than concrete. He's dropping bombs in there. He's bending space and time. Garcia, he's trying to lighten the load by throwing these airy sonic bouquets of goodness into the air. The solo's outstanding throughout. And right out of it, might as well gives you the instant lather moment. You're there soaking wet, dancing in the rain. It's been pouring on you, right into the instant lather moment. There was soap on your hands. You look in the mirror, poof, instant lather moment. I might as well. This is good. This is obviously going to be a super happy night in Grateful Dead land. It all just occurred just right during those moments in Might As Well. You have those thoughts in your mind. You think, I don't know if anybody has ever danced better to Might As Well than I am currently dancing to Might As Well ever in history. I totally figured out exactly how this song was meant to be expressed through the human body, and here I am. It was unknown to the world prior to that moment. I figured the song out, and my dance moves are impeccable. That kind of time to close the first set. This was great stuff. Great stuff. I remember the night vividly because of the nature of the show and the circumstances and the weather and everything that went along with it. So we close out the first set like that. So come out to open the second. We got some drummy shit and bassy shit going on. It's just making things a little bit chaotic. And out of that, it's like a fucking meteor. The Saint of Circumstance comes flying out of this ball of chaotic noise, and is just completely soaring from the minute it emerges. It's at warp speed. The camera goes to Billy. He's peeking now. Billy Kreutzmann, he's higher than Eagle Pussy on this one. He's way out there, and everybody is just throwing everything they got into this thing. This is good. This is Saint of Circumstance at its best. Saying just this immense quantity of controlled moments of decay and breakdown, followed by intense moments of remarkable ascent, where from this decay and breakdown, the jam would just come soaring out of that. This moment, it's become abundantly bigger than the people that are creating it. It's one of those things where the music was just obviously so huge, and it was playing the band all the way through this night. As the older I get, the more I love Ship of Fools. Every year it seems like I love that song more. Garcia got his nose all over the mic. He got his nose on the mic like Parrish rolled it in cocaine before the second set started. So I'm sure that didn't happen, but that's what it looks like. I can't be sure, but I would imagine when Garcia's nose is all over the microphone, you're getting it good. You could bet on that. You get that door in the Ship of Fools. This mix seems like it's really a clean mix that they put out. The tapes that circulated following this had this. It's just the whole sound that night was just a little bit different. It was completely different, yet very much the same. There was just a sound and a vibration about the music that was made that night that just seemed extremely unique. And I was experiencing it in spades as I rewatched this. So, 91, you get Garcia. He's got full wings in effect, hair blowing throughout the summer of 91. Could have used some of Weir's barrettes from 89 maybe to hold that shit back. So that's all I'm going to say about that. There's no need for that. Anyway, the Dark Star starts flying all over the place again. We're getting a Dark Star jams. Garcia, he's in full mind melt mode. He's all business. It's 89 Foxborough. He's happy. He's dancing. He's smiling. He's super animated. 91, Garcia was all business. There wasn't nearly as much smiling and being silly up there. He was in full mind melting mode, all business. He was up to the task. This is great stuff. So the Dark Star jams flying around. Phil, he's snapping the low bass tones, make you think you might get some more Dark Star. He snaps it right into trucking. And listen, Felipe just killing it all the way through trucking. This is a strong night for Phil all the way through. Phil bombs throughout. And the trucking is just moving furiously. And Garcia, you look at Garcia, I've seen Ferns move more than Garcia. He kind of stayed in his little area, all business. That night and through much of 91 was much the same. Not a whole lot of motion, but boy, the music was more than making up for it. A band in full ascent. I'm watching Vince jam. He's got more fucking chest than an owl when he's playing. So it looks like he's up there, more chest than an owl. Garcia, they go into the jam that winds up the tension and trucking. And Garcia, he just starts blasting it out. He's just creating this extremely deliberate web around him, and then he just starts blasting out from the center of that with some incredible licks, driving the action and that trucking build-up. And then in my mind, I remember as that build-up would take place, there'd come a point where the speed of the build-up would match the speed of the spinners. And right as that happened, Phil would pull the ripcord, boom, and the release, and in your mind, unbelievable as the mental and neurological orgasms that would take place as that would happen in the music. And as I was able to relive it, I felt like I was flashing back last night. Pretty strong at this one. Trucking moves mystically into New Speedway. You thought a few times throughout the night you might get a other one prior to Drums in Space. Some of those sounds kind of were working their way around. The other one was peeking around during that show. But you get New Speedway, and New Speedway is gooey. This is moving just right. It's gooey. This is like eating melted mozzarella with your ears. This is some gooey stuff. Even with some vocal flaws throughout the night, it didn't matter. Everything was exactly as it should be. And a great, great New Speedway. Boy, this one had some power. So, Hornsby, they show Hornsby. Hornsby looks like he got his hair off the clearance rack. He got his talent from outer space. He's killing it on this one. Really, this is a strong night for everybody on that stage. It's just one of those nights where everything just seems like the whole experience is just a little bit deeper than it usually is, and it's always deep, but there's just an extra something that's happening here, making everything much deeper than it had seemed before. Just that kind of experience. They show Garcia chin to his chest. He's just pulling out what's best for everyone out of his heart through his guitar. Notes are flying. We're whirling dervishes in a soaking wet sea of humanity there in Sea Caucus. This is a fine night. You think after the New Speedway, maybe you get a little something, maybe you get a little something, a little more Dark Star or something like that. The end of the New Speedway, it gets so heavy, Vince has to give himself a hug. He's comforted himself. He's giving himself a hug. He's thinking, it's far out, man. This shit is taking me way out there. He's hugging himself for comfort. You get more Dark Stars poking around. And just emerging from that jam, here's Uncle John's. It just emerges from this sonic puddle that they're creating that you think is Dark Star. And it's just perfect. It's just as meaningful and intense as everything else they played that night. One of those nights, even with vocal flubs, just doesn't matter because everything is bringing you absolutely as close to that Nirvana point as you would think it could. So we're reaching for the gold ring, and there may be a few times we had a hold of it for a while during this night. This is great stuff. So you follow the Uncle John's. Uncle John's, there's some woodblock, I think, in the beginning of that one. We're getting a little bit of woodblock or some shit. So I don't know. Jams after Uncle John's. You think you're going to get the other one. You look up there. There's Billy. Billy still got his eyes closed. He hasn't opened his eyes on stage since maybe '83. His eyes totally closed, playing through this whole thing. This is incredible. The other one teases coming hard. At this point, the Enterprise is moving at warp speed into the black hole if black holes have eyes. The jam that follows, it turns into a kaleidoscope. It really is a kaleidoscopic jam of monstrous proportions. Truly a magnificent jam that just kind of all as it turns into itself. Very slowly, and before you know it, we get drums. Sounded like they might drop the other one, or maybe get some more Dark Star. You end up in drums. Mickey's playing with his whole body during drums. Everybody's fully invested in this. Billy just killing it. So you come from space, from a cool space. You get the China doll. The China doll there, so I've listened to this so many times. That China doll there, as they're going into the China doll, Bruce gives you the little Dark Star. Very funny as they're going into that China doll. Dark Star peeks out, says, nope. Not tonight, but it's looking around an awful lot. It turns into the China doll. Phil answers Bruce a little bit on his bass of that little Dark Star tease as they go into China doll. And China doll is one of those tunes that I remember throughout the years. You'd be so just completely altered and electrified and connected to this moment. There were times the China doll could scare the hell out of you. The China doll, you listen to Garcia, think, is he where he's supposed to be in this? And you realize, well, he probably is exactly where he's supposed to be. I wonder if, am I supposed to be where I'm supposed to be in this? And you think, well, I mean, hold on, I think I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be. So let's just let China Doll have its work with us. And China Doll was one of those songs for me that was a great time for introspection and emotional cleansing. And there's periods throughout that song. So my whole being is right up in front of me. My whole soul is put right there for inspection. And as Garcia gets to the verse, I will not condemn you. And all of a sudden, I'm emotionally up against every challenge and roadblock in my life. I could see it all so clear, it's damn near frightening. You wonder if the emotional weight you're carrying this is obvious to those around you, as in this moment, you get a chance to see every single fragment of your soul that hurts or has hurt in the past, or every challenge is right there in front of you. Such a far out experience that I've had over and over and over again. Every hurtful fragment of my soul is put before me, and then Phil just releases it all with the bomb, boom. Take up your China Doll. Nobody in history can say the word fractured better than Garcia. So I can't tell you how many times in my life, as Garcia's told me, it's only fractured. It seemed like internally Everything changes. Always got the compass pointing right back to Terrapin. Due north, as the tears would fall and the cleansing would commence. China Doll has always been an incredible experience for me. It's that kind of song. I watched it twice last night. I went back, watched it again after I was done with this thing. Anyway, there you go. Garcia digs in for a play and reprise that started sometime prior. It's just perfect. It perfectly paves the path that would lead to the ultimate arrival of some more Dark Star. No, it's Sugar Mags to close it down. First song to last. This one's a smoker. All the way through Sugar Mags, the band killing it. Just a Dream. Phil's dropping multiple bombs. At the end of that one, my room is so full of Phil. I'm smiling as wide as I could possibly smile from beginning to end. This one's outstanding. They close it perfectly. You get the wait for your encore. I absolutely love the wait when the Grateful Dead played the wait. I only think Dead and Company sucks at the wait. The Grateful Dead, I love them on the wait, and part of it is because as Garcia completely covers any silly falsetto Weir would try with that last verse, is completely covered by the glory that is and always was Garcia, and I just absolutely love the wait when the Grateful Dead played it. There's no doubt about that. To me, that one was perfect from beginning to end. Everything lined up. That was one of those nights the stars lined up. For most of 91, the stars were in alignment for this band, if you ask me. So there's the way we start the conversation for 91 and for Giant Stadium. Feel free to join if you want. Don't join if you don't want. I give 0 fucks, but I love you forever. Regardless, maybe we'll catch you after the next one. Hope you're all strong and healthy. It's all my best to you and yours. Love you forever.